What's good, YouTube? Zampro here, aka Scoot, back with the World Showdown Series Season 6, and we've got our Week 8 battle against the Peachy Bros, coach of the Adelaide Aggrons. So yeah, he's got a pretty scary squad, and he's a very competent battler. We have been facing off against him since Season 3. Pretty sure in Season 3 we played him, and it was a really close battle. I don't remember who came out on top. I remember I beat him twice in Season 4, and he beat me twice in Season 5. I beat him in the regular season of Season 4. He beat me in the regular season of Season 5. I beat him in playoffs of Season 4, and he beat me in playoffs of Season 5. And yeah, we're both consistent playoff contenders in this league, but this season's not our season. We're both sitting pretty low right now. We're sitting at 2-5 going into Week 8, and my opponent is sitting at 3-4-3, 3-3, something like that. Anyways, yeah, we both copped quite a few losses this season, and it's not our best season. And despite that, though, we love playing against each other. We're definitely going to be bringing the hammer to the match, and they're going to try to pull out a victory here. So, as you can see on screen, my opponent has Mew, Garchomp, Serp, Florges, Mega Aggron, Zoroark, Alomomola, Swellow, Golisopod, whatever you say, Electros, and the Trevenant, where his Z-move users, I believe, are Garchomp for sure, and maybe Golisopod. I'm not real sure on that, so don't quote me on that. I know it's for sure Garchomp. Garchomp's one of the best Z-move users in the game. And our squad is Aegislash, which I don't actually know if it can get Z-moves. I don't think it had Z-moves banned on it or anything like that, but not a Z-move mon. For us, we have Hydreigon, Gardevoir, Terrakion, Licky, Crocodile, Rotom Heat, Dugtrio, Acelgor, Go-Go, and the Lapras, where our Z-move users are Hydreigon, Dugtrio, and I think Acelgor. So yeah, pretty cool matchup here. Our Gardevoir is actually Mega Gardevoir. I'm not sure if that's needs to be said. I think if you guys are following this season, despite my struggles, then you guys know my squad and so on and so forth. Anyways, for this matchup, we've decided to bring Aegislash, Hydreigon, Mega Gardevoir, Crocodile, Acelgor, and the Lapras, as you can see on screen. Our Lapras is a kind of a troll set. It's a Toxic, Ice Beam, Rest Talk. So his best way to get around this is Aggron. That's his only way, really. It's the only one on the squad that can't be poisoned. The rest of them can be poisoned. And I do expect, since I am poisoning his mons, I do expect potentially Heal Bell on Florges or Aromatherapy, whatever it may be. I do expect Synchronize Mew. Obviously, that's the only ability it can have, but I do expect it to potentially switch in. And if it poisons me, then I do have Rest and Sleep Talk, so I shouldn't be too big of a problem. And I know I usually start with the mons left to right, but I said Lapras, and then I just had to start talking about its set. Ice Beam bops Garchomp and Serp. Does enough to Swellow and Mew and Trevenant, so that's really nice. Catching Toxics on Serp, and I do have Toxic Spikes as well. Toxic versus his squad is really, really nice. And the idea is to get Rocks up, to get Spikes up, Toxic Spikes up, and then use Acelgor to U-turn around on his squad. As you can see, he doesn't appreciate that thing. You just U-turn it on his squad. If he gives me Garchomp or Mega Aggron, I can bring in, Crocodile, get the Intimidate off. I can taunt Mega Aggron from setting up Stealth Rocks or doing any kind of weird shenanigans or anything like that. Force it out with the Earthquake. Potentially bring in the Serp, and I can knock its item off or something like that. Yeah, Aegislash. So let's just hop into the team builder and talk about it how we normally do, left to right. We've got Aegislash, which is a Shadow Ball, Flash Cannon, Substitute, King Shield variant. I felt like I could come in on something like Florges or Serp and just click Substitute, forcing them out. I know Serp could potentially be a Leech Seed variant, and Florges, I guess, could potentially have a coverage move to hit my Aegislash with, but it'll bounce off anyway. And we got the King Shield there so that we can avoid, taking damage in her blade form and being able to always come back into her shield. It's a really solid mon. Can take hits from Serp pretty well. Can take hits from pretty much the majority of his squad outside of something like a Zoroark or Garchomp. Doesn't want to take an Earthquake from Garchomp or like a knockoff or Sucker Punch from Zoroark or anything like that. But yeah, pretty solid mon overall. Next up we have Hydreigon, and we got a Choice Scarf variant so that we can always, revenge kill his non-Choice Scarf mons, such as Mew. We can knock it out with the Dark Pulse. Garchomp we can knock it out with the Dragon Pulse. Serp we can U-turn on until it's in range of one of the two moves. Same thing for Zoroark. We'll always U-turn as long as he has the Florges around. We don't want to lock ourselves into a move with Florges still on field. Can U-turn out versus something like Mega Aggron as well. And I guess like a taunt variant could have been nice in this matchup to prevent things like Florges and Mega Aggron from setting up Wishes and Rocks respectively. Same thing for Alomomola, it getting off Wishes or like a Toxic would be really bad. So I'd like to try to avoid that if possible. And our last move on Hydreigon is Roost. Despite being a Choice Scarf variant, it may come in handy to switch in and potentially force a switch as we Roost up and then get our health back and then switch out on the following turn. And because we don't want to be locked into Roost while he brings in something like Florges or something like that. So yeah, that's the idea there. Next up we've got Mega Gardevoir, which is a Protect, Wish, dual stab variant with Psyshock and Hyper Voice. Psyshock is there for the Florges, and Hyper Voice hits everything else. And the only thing this thing can't hit is the Aggron, which I've built my team in a way to where the rest of my squad should wear Aggron down pretty well. I have Crocodile and Aegislash, which can switch in on Heavy Slams pretty comfortably. I can taunt it, wear it down with Earthquake, Hazards, so on and so forth, which is really nice for my squad. Crocodile is actually our designated Stealth Rocker with Earthquake, Knockoff, and I believe Taunt is our last move. And then Acelgor has enough speed to outspeed Swellow, as well as being able to set up Spikes and Toxic Spikes. We've got U-Turn and Bug Buzz. Now I thought about running Sludge Wave and Focus Blast. That way I could hit his entire squad and actually not bring Spikes or Toxic Spikes. But I felt like if there's a potential for me to get them up and weaken his Mew and his Serp and beat down a sub-Serp variant, and Alomomola being poisoned is really nice. So I felt like Toxic Spikes could be potentially a really nice bring, and then having dual Spikes on there is really nice as well. If he has something like, say I get a Spike and a Toxic Spike up with a Acelgor before it actually drops. Say it was my designated lead or something like that. And then I'm able to bring in Crook and get my rocks up, and he brings in Florges to defog or Serp to defog, and I'm able to taunt those upon switching or something like that. Could be really nice, and then I could keep my hazards up and start to punish the squad. And then, like I mentioned earlier, Lapras is a Toxic variant with Ice Beam and Rest Talk. So yeah, not too much to say about that, but that's going to be the prep talk, and I guess we can go ahead and hop into the battle now and see how it's going to go. Alright, so here we are with the replay, and my opponent chooses to bring Superior, Mew, Garchomp, Florges, Zoroark, and the Golisopod. So really cool squad he brings, and we're bringing the squad from the prep talk. So some interesting things here is he brings Zoroark, so there's Mind Games automatically. He could potentially lead with Zoroark disguised as something like Garchomp or Serp or something like that. He could lead with Zoroark disguised as Florges, which actually forces out all of my mons except for Mega Gardevoir and Aegislash. So his only potential Stealth Rocker in this match are the Garchomp and the Mew. I don't expect Mew to be his rocker in this matchup. I would think it would be Garchomp. It forces switches more. Forces out my Hydreigon, forces out my Aegislash, forces out like a non-HP Ice, Rotom Heat, and things like that, and it could get rocks up a lot easier than Mew, which, most of my mons force out. So I expect Garchomp to be his lead, and that being said, I'm going to lead off with my Lapras, as I can just click Toxic or Ice Beam. Probably Toxic, predicting him to switch out. So he leads with his Golisopod here, and he's going to be able to go for the first impression there. It does about 30%, but I'm a fat lapper, so I'm just going to throw off a toxic here, and that's really, really nice here. And what I'm going to do is actually throw off a double toxic, because he was only doing 30% max to me, and I felt like this was a no drawback play, because if he stayed in and attacked me again, then I could just rest up the following turn. So this is a no drawback play to me. I did get the toxic off, and it does synchronize with me, but what I can do is just throw off my rest here as my opponent pulls a switch back out into the Golisopod. I guess expecting me to switch or something like that, and he brings his Mew hard back in, and I don't see an item. And I click Sleep Talk here, and I get a rest. So that's a little bit unfortunate. I got no, had I got an Ice Beam off there, I would have been able to gauge the damage here. But I don't guess I really had a switch in either. Anyway, not to, him going for Trick. Had I went into Aegis last year, that would have crippled me. Had I went into anything except Gardevoir here, it would have really crippled me, except if I would have went into my Hydreigon, which is also a Choice Scarf mine, and I could have just U-turned out versus the Mew. So I am now a Choice Scarf variant locked into Sleep Talk, which is okay. It's not terrible, and his Mew's being whittled, so that's really nice. He pulls a switch out into Garchomp here, which was really, really, really risky, as I could have gotten a Sleep Talk roll there with Ice Beam and knocked him out. But yeah, I'm going to hard switch out into my Crocodile here, and it intimidates his Garchomp, as he actually made the switch before me. So what I'm going to do here is set up my Stealth Rocks, and then I'm going to taunt the Florges so that it can't Wish and it can't Defog, and I'm going to pull a hard switch out into my Aegislash, as my opponent actually reads that and pulls a switch out into his Surf as well, which reveals to be Leftovers. So seeing Leftovers, I automatically think this is going to be like a sub Leech Seed variant. So what I want to do is hard switch out into my Selgor. Had he went for sub there, I could have went for the Bug Buzz, and it would have bypassed the sub and knocked him out. He does go for the Leech Seed though, which is unfortunate because it does break our Sash. However, we are able to U-turn out here. We did predict him to switch out, so able to go for a U-turn there. I kind of predicted his Florges to come in, but I guess Golisopod is okay as well. And I wanted to avoid the first impression here. So what I was going to go for is Protect, but his emergency exit actually activates, and he brings out his Garchomp. So this is really nice. I know I can leave anyone hit unless he's like Corkscrew Crash or Acid Downpour, or even Ground EMZ here, as he goes for the Continental Crush, which I'm able to chew that up, not comfortably, as I live on 7%, but nonetheless, we do survive, and we're able to knock out the Garchomp, which opens up holes for, Aegislash, prevents that thing from being revenge killed easily. And then if it was like obviously it wasn't Scarf, but if it was like a Jolly, able to had the Vin to outpace Gardevoir, I believe. I think I'm Speed Creep or Speed Time with Mew. I'm not real sure. Anyways, he brings in a Serp here. I don't want anything to take unnecessary damage. Gardevoir's purpose, it doesn't really, I guess I could keep it for Wish Pass, but I'm not living a hit from anything and being able to get a Wish off anyway, and the majority of his squad outpaces me anyway. So yeah, I didn't want to worry about that. I'm going to bring out my Selgor here and click Bug Buzz, as he sacks off his Golisopod, saving his Serp, and brings in his Florges here. So this is a little bit scary. I'm just going to U-turn out in case he was the Zoroark, which gives me which is another thing about a Selgor. Being able to U-turn out, being faster than his entire squad, allows me to always break disguises and getting super effective damage off on Zoroark, potentially knocking it out. As you can see, this thing is the Florges though. He goes for the Synthesis as I bring in my Aegislash, and now he's going to Defog, as we're actually going to click Substitute here. We're revealing Sub, so now he's got to bring out his immediate response, which looks to be the Mew. And we go for Flash Cannon here. Had we went for Shadow Ball, it would have likely knocked out as much as Flash Cannon did, which is a little bit unfortunate because I guess Flash Cannon was our play though. Had he went Zoroark there, so that was okay. And we are behind a sub, so we will be able to avoid taking damage and knock out the Mew anyway, which puts us back in a decent position here. However, he brings out his Serp, and he goes for the Swords Dance. And so the reason I switched out was because I was in my shield mode, and had I clicked, I was in Blade mode, and had I clicked King Shield to put myself in shield mode, I would have potentially, if this was Serp, he could have got a sub up, which could be problematic for me. So I'm going to hard switch out into my Hydreigon, with the plan being if he clicks sub, that I could U-turn out, break his sub, and sack off one of my other mons, and then come in from there. However, he goes for the Swords Dance, which reveals that he's the Zoroark. I'm going to click U-turn here to get, you know, some nice chip damage off there. It does over half. And I'm going to sack off my Lapras here to a potential low kick, which ends up being what he goes for. That is the best move to hit Hydreigon and Crocodile with, not 2 Dark Resist. So yeah, I kind of expected that since he revealed Swords Dance. And now I'm able to go back into my Hydreigon, and I can just U-turn out again, and it would have knocked him out. But he's going to save that, go out into his Florges here, and I'm going to be able to bring my Aegislash back in as he goes hard into his Serp. So I set up a sub here, predicting him to switch out or attack and just it bounce off or whatever. Anyways, he goes for a sub of his own, and I'm going to click Flash Cannon here. I don't want him to have a sub up, first of all. Second of all, it's really scary to be attacking this thing with Aegislash. My 2 moves are Flash Cannon and Shadow Ball, which have a 10 and 20% chance to lower your SPDEF, but Serp has the ability contrary. So if I lower its SPDEF, it's actually going to get a SPDEF raise, which could be really, really problematic for me. He goes for the Leaf Storm here. He's taken close to 40% every time from Flash Cannon and Shadow Claw, or Shadow Ball, I should say. Both moves are the same base power, so that makes sense. And he goes for the Dragon Pulse here. So he reveals to have nothing to hit my Aegislash with, which is really nice. But at the same time, I can't take a hit with my other mons. So what I'm going to do here is bring in my Selgor. It eats up the Dragon Pulse and forces the Serp out. I can't get Spikes up or anything like that because the Florges can just defog, so it doesn't really matter. But what I can do is go back into my Aegislash and click sub again as he throws off a Wish, and I'm pretty sure he's going to throw it off to his Serp. I am just going to click Flash Cannon here. This is my best play. He has no resist, but his Serp eats that and gets the Wish back. He's able to throw off a sub there. I break his sub, and I go for the Flash Cannon. And now he's at +2, and I'm in my Blade form, and he doesn't have enough health to get off a substitute. So my play here is to King Shield, but I actually misclick, and I get very fortunate. I misclick here, obviously. I don't want to take a +2 Leaf Storm from Serp in my Blade form. And I know he can't get a sub up, so my play here was to 100% King Shield, and I misclicked. I just want you guys to know that, and to know that that was, you know, staying in and attacking here is not the play. The play was to King Shield because he could not sub. It puts me back in my shield form, meaning I would have taken like, you know, 40% from his Leaf Storm. However, thanks to my misclick though, he could have got up to like 70% off on my Aegislash, putting me at around 30% or so. Thankfully though, he missed. Which is really unfortunate, but at the same time, it would have did, like I mentioned, roughly 70%, 75% or so to my Aegislash. Aegislash would have lived, would have got a round of leftovers, gets the knockout on the Serp anyway, and then I would be able to King Shield up versus the Florges coming in here, as he doesn't go into his Zoroark. He actually disguises it as Florges, though. He brings in his Zoroark, disguises it as Florges. However, his Florges was at a lot higher health than his Zoroark. His Zoroark was at 44%, so I knew this was the Zoroark. And he brings it in and goes for low kick. And the reason I stayed in was because had he locked himself into a dark type move, what I could do is go into Crocodile or Hydreigon, and well, obviously he wouldn't be locking himself into dark type moves. But if he went for the dark type move with his Zoroark here to knock, to get my Aegislash, that was such a predictable play. And I have 2 dark types and a sack in the back, so it makes sense that he would try to make a prediction here. So I'm going to stay in, and he actually goes for the low kick. I expected Swords Dance, but he actually goes for the low kick. And I get the knockout with the Flash Cannon here. And now he brings in his Aegislash. So, basically, I don't know what his play would have been had he got the Leaf Storm damage off with Serp onto my sword here. But regardless, had he got that damage off though, I would have been more inclined to just sack a Selgor than to let Zoroark, just knock out my Aegislash from that low of health, because I know that Aegislash can still beat Florges 1v1, bar like Moonblast special attack drops and getting crits and stuff versus me. So my play was still fine there. And now he brings in his Florges. And what I'm going to do is just click, see, as I saw, he did get a critical hit and a Spadef drop on the same turn. So that's a little bit unfortunate. But at the same time, it's okay. It's not too big of an issue. And I can just sack off my Selgor here, bring back in my Aegislash. I can click Protect, King Shield. I don't really need to, so what I'm just going to do is click Sub. If I need extra leftovers recovery, I can click King Shield later on, but at this point I don't really need to, so what I'm just going to do here is click Flash Cannon, and I get a critical hit, which knocks out my opponent, and that critical hit definitely did matter, but I would have been able to 1v1 that Florges anyway. So, yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate game with the Leaf Storm miss and the crit and special attack drop there at the end, and then my crit to knock out his Florges. But I don't think it changed the outcome of the battle, just maybe differential and stuff like that. But yeah, it's going to be a good game to Pichu, and good luck the rest of the season, my man. And we're going to be moving on to, 3-5 now? Not bad after starting 0-4, sitting at 3-5. That's not too bad. Our last 4 games have been a lot better than our first 4 games, that's for sure. But yeah, it's going to be it. Let me know what you thought about the prep and the plays on both sides of the field. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.